I have been using the Insta360 GO3 and then the GO3S since the beginning of the year. You may have seen a lot of my YouTube video which contains videos shot using one of these cameras. For example, some of my image stabilization tests, some of the behind the scene video, unboxing video. I've also carried these cameras with me around New Zealand. I carried them to Taiwan and to Japan. I shot videos when I was doing go-karting on Tokyo streets and a lot of my family holiday videos as well. I have been using these cameras a lot during this year as I want to find out all the pros and cons of these cameras so that I can share it with you guys. And if you have been thinking about buying a GO3 or the GO3S, I will also compare the GO3 with the GO3S and let you know which one is more suitable to you. Believe it or not, the newer GO3S is not necessarily the best camera for everyone. Before we start the usual disclaimers, I used my own money to buy the Insta360 GO3 at the beginning of 2024 as I want to include the GO3 as part of my YouTube video production kit and I was planning to do a long-term review. But later on, Insta360 contacted me and they sent me a GO3S with some accessories which allow me to extend the long-term review to include the GO3S and do some comparison as well. They didn't pay me any money, but I do not have to return the GO3S after this review. I just want to make sure everything is clear before we start this review. Okay, first, let me tell you what is the Insta360 GO3 and the GO3S and why I bought it and why I really like it. I will also tell you the things that I don't like about the GO3 and GO3S in the next chapter. The Insta360 GO3 is the third generation Go series camera from Insta360. The GO3 consists of a tiny waterproof camera that is removable from the base unit that is called Action Port. The Action Port has a few physical buttons as well as a touch screen that can be flipped up so you can see yourself when you are filming. The Action Port also has a larger battery that can be used to power or charge the camera to increase the total runtime. You can use the GO3 camera no matter the camera is installed in the Action Port or removed. Even the live view preview works when the camera is not installed in the Action Port, but there is a bit of extra delay and also lower preview quality when the camera is removed from the Action Port. The Insta360 GO3 was released in June 2023 and the GO3S was released in June 2024, so almost exactly 1 year apart. The GO3S is basically an update version of the GO3 with the same basic design and most of the features are pretty much the same, just some upgrades and changes. The GO3S does have a new processor, but the image sensor is the same. However, the GO3S has a new camera lens that uses the whole image sensor, unlike the GO3 which only uses part of the sensor. I will talk about that more a little bit later on. But anyway, if you have the GO3, you can even just buy the new GO3S camera by itself and reuse the Action Port from the GO3. Because of the similarity between the two cameras, in this review, I will mostly just say GO3, but you can assume what I said can be applied to the GO3S as well. If there are some major differences between the two cameras, I will explicitly tell you about that. If you just look at the specs, the GO3 and the GO3S, they look pretty average. The sensor is small. Even the newer GO3S can only record video up to 4K 30 or 2.7K 100 frames per second. But what makes the GO3 really unique and versatile is the ultra compact form factor. The camera itself is roughly the size of your thumb, and the weight of the camera itself is less than 40 grams or 1.4 ounce. What it means is you can easily place the camera in places that you normally cannot do. Insta360 also did a pretty good job providing you with many different camera mounting options. A lot of them actually comes with the camera as well. First of all, the camera itself has a magnetic mount at the back of the camera. It means you can just attach the camera to some metal surface. It can be a metal shelf or a light pole on the street or some metal frame. But not only that, the GO3 also comes with a magnet pendant, so you can wear the pendant inside your shirt and then you can attach the camera to the pendant from the outside. This allows you to record first-person point of view video very easily, and I myself, I've shot a lot of my street photography video this way. To be honest, even if this is the only way that I can shoot with the GO3, I would already consider buying this camera, but there are many other ways that you can attach the camera. One is using the easy clip. You can attach the camera to the easy clip and then clip it onto your shirt or your bag, but I think most people would just clip it onto your head. This way, you can capture point of view video that not just only follow your body, but also follow your head movement as well. You just can't get any more first-person point of view than that. Most people would clip it onto the front of your cap, but if you do it this way, the camera it stick out quite a bit. Also, I find the camera may shake up and down quite a bit. So instead, I prefer to clip the camera to the back of my head and I wear the head backwards when I want to record some video. This way, the camera is not as obvious and the footage is also a bit more stable. So give it a try if you have a GO3 and let me know if you like this or not. There's also a small suction cup mount that comes with the GO3. With that, you can attach the camera onto smooth flat surface quite easily. For example, you can attach it to a window, mirrors or a cupboard. I shot a lot of video during my recent trip to Japan this way. But be careful, while the suction cup is quite strong, it is not 100% secure, especially if the surface is not perfectly smooth or clean. So keep an eye on the camera if you are recording using the suction cup. The GO3S comes with similar accessories as the GO3, but Insta360 has made some improvements to make these accessories more versatile. For example, GO3S Easy Clip now has a magnetic mount at the back. That means you can use the easy clip with the pendant and adjust the camera angle in one orientation. The suction cup mount is also slightly improved and easier to use. Anyway, these are just the standard accessories that come with the GO3. There are many other accessories and mounts from Insta360 and other third-party companies, so there are virtually endless ways that you can mount and shoot with the GO3. Most of these camera mounts give the Insta360 one huge advantage compared to the other cameras in the market. That is, you don't have to hold the camera with your hands when you want to shoot video. This is especially great when you are traveling, you're having holiday traveling to somewhere. You can just click the record button and then you don't even need to think about the camera at all and truly enjoy your trip instead of focus on the camera. One of the new features that comes with the GO3S makes this even better. I will talk about that more a little bit later on when I tell you the new features that comes with the GO3S. So anyway, the ability to shoot video very easily combined with the flexibility on how or where you can place the camera makes the Insta360 GO3 one of my favorite and now part of my essential video filming kit these days. Despite it does have quite a few pretty big downsides that I'm going to talk about next. When I review camera gears, I always try to be realistic about what I can expect considering the design, the price and target users of the product and adjust my expectation accordingly. So with such a compact size, I knew the battery life would be quite limited, especially when the camera is not inside the action port. As a reference, the battery for our mirrorless cameras these days are usually around 2000 mAh or even bigger. The battery inside the GO3 camera is just 310 mAh, which is tiny. Since the GO3 is designed for hands-free POV video, which usually means recording time would be longer than the average vlogging style video when you have to hold the camera yourself. Because of that, the limitation caused by the shorter battery life can be quite obvious. For example, during my family holiday last month, there were quite a few times that I want the camera to just record as long as possible, but the camera can only manage to record just over half an hour and the battery would die. 30 minutes is not too bad, but there were definitely quite a few occasions that I want to be able to record a bit longer, maybe like an hour. Now, I could just place the camera inside the action port and I can get around 2.5 hours of continuous recording time. But I think most people buy the GO3 because they want to shoot with just the camera itself because it's so tiny and lightweight and they can mount the camera or wear the camera very easily. If I am planning to shoot with the camera always in the action port, I might as well just get a normal action camera because the latest action camera usually can provide more features and better quality. When the camera's battery dies, I could pop the camera back in the action port and let the action port recharge the camera's battery. If I wait for the camera to charge a few minutes, then I can get maybe around 10 minutes or so of recording time, so it can help extend the recording time a bit. But what I found is that usually the camera would become quite hot after half an hour or so of continuous recording when the battery dies. So if you put the camera back into the action port, it would refuse to charge the camera battery until the camera has cooled down. At least that's what happens with the GO3S. So it means you may need to wait maybe another 10 minutes or so before it will start charging the camera battery. If you quite often need to record long video and want to do it without the action port, then battery life can be a real issue for you. When I did some battery runtime tests here in my studio, with the exact same recording settings, I got less runtime from the GO3S than the GO3, no matter I'm just recording with the camera itself or recording with the camera in the action port. I initially thought it may be just a one-off result because it's a bit weird that the GO3S has shorter battery runtime than the GO3, but I have repeated the test a few times. Every single time, the GO3S does have slightly shorter runtime than the GO3. GO3's action port has a USB-C port and it also supports Bluetooth, but there is no way for you to connect any external microphone to the GO3. GO3's built-in microphone is okay.
If you go like, this is a health violation.
No, don't worry. Everything.
Maybe get some
Okay,
paper
get
off
one
it.
and then you snap like half or quarter and then give it fit it like this. Okay, there's one.
Oh,
the
there's
total
one behind
there's
you.
one fit it.
But I think most of you would know that even a basic left mic or wireless microphone can greatly improve the audio quality, especially when you're shooting outdoor on windy day. Unfortunately, you just can't do that with the GO3. So if you want good audio quality when recording with the Insta360 GO3, you have to use an external audio recorder to record the audio separately and then sync the audio in post. It's doable and I've done that myself quite a few times, but I think for most users, they would definitely prefer if there is a way for them to connect an external microphone to the GO3. The GO3 and the GO3S comes with either 64 or 128GB of built-in memory, which makes it very easy to use as you don't have to worry about the memory card. However, the downside is that the GO3 doesn't have any memory card slot. The built-in memory is fixed and is not expandable. So whatever memory option that you choose when you bought the camera will be the only memory that you have. Insta360 does provide you a few different ways for you to copy the files from your camera so that you can delete them after you got them out from the camera, but not having any way to increase the storage space is one of the limitations that may affect some of you. Because of that, I would highly recommend you to get the larger 128GB version instead of the basic 64GB version. The difference is just around $30 but you double the storage space. Having more storage space is always handy, especially when there is no way to expand the memory at all. So we have talked about things that I like and don't like about the GO3 and the GO3S. Now let's talk about the difference between the GO3 and GO3S, and let's start with the image quality first. While the 4:3 aspect ratio sensor is the same for both cameras, the GO3 only uses the center circle area of the sensor, and there is a very good reason why Insta360 did that, which will be clear when we talk about the 3-frame mode. The GO3S has a completely different brand new lens design that covers a larger image circle, and because of that, the GO3S uses the whole 4:3 aspect ratio image sensor. This new lens combined with the new processor allows the GO3S to record video up to 4K resolution compared to the GO3, which is only up to 2.7K resolution even though they use the exact same image sensor. Photo is up to 6 megapixel with the GO3 and 12 megapixel with the GO3S. But does the higher resolution actually make any difference? Now, let's have a look at some videos I shot when I was in Taiwan. This video were captured at the same time. Left was shot using the GO3 at 2.7K resolution, and right side was shot using the GO3S at 4K resolution. If we zoom in, the GO3S footage is noticeably sharper than the video from the GO3. And what about the nighttime performance? Does the high resolution output from the GO3S cause any downside? Look at this set of comparison footage that I shot in Tokyo in front of the giant unicorn Gundam. When I first look at it, the image quality seems to be very similar between the two cameras, but when I zoom in, the video from the GO3S can retain a bit more details. And we'll look at another comparison video. This time I was walking in a pretty dark place. The video was shot with auto white balance, and the white balance seems to be a little bit different. The footage from the GO3 seems to be a little bit more red, while the GO3S seems to be a little bit more green. The image quality both are not that good. It's usable, but that's pretty much all I would say. And now let's have a look at another comparison. Back to daytime again. Once again, I shot with auto white balance. The GO3 is slightly warmer and also a little bit more red. GO3S is cooler. Another thing is the GO3 has slightly wider field of view. According to Insta360, GO3S, the camera equivalent focal length is 16mm, which is quite wide, but GO3 is even wider at 11mm. The difference is quite noticeable. But both cameras are very wide angle, so I wouldn't say one is better. It really depends on what you want to shoot. Depends on the situation. One camera may work better than the other one. I myself just bought a new iPhone 16 Pro. I think a lot of people would agree that the video quality from the latest iPhone is really good. So I wonder, how does the video from the GO3 and the GO3S look when you compare it with the latest iPhone Pro? First, let's have a look at this video shooting a relatively static scene. All the cameras were shooting in auto mode, which means auto exposure, auto white balance. You will notice the exposure and colors are a bit different. The video from the GO3S is once again a bit cooler than the GO3 and the iPhone. In terms of sharpness and details, the video from the GO3 is the worst out of the three. Not really surprising because this is the only 2.7K video. The iPhone 16 Pro is somewhere between the GO3 and the GO3S. It's better than the GO3, but not as nice as the GO3S. The GO3S can capture more details and also better contrast as well. I was a bit surprised as I thought my brand new iPhone Pro should at least match the GO3S in terms of sharpness and details. Anyway, this is not the last iPhone comparison in this video. We will look at some more comparison with my iPhone 16 Pro a little bit later on. In terms of stabilization, I don't really notice too much difference between the GO3 and the GO3S. When I'm doing normal walking, the footage from both cameras are very nice and smooth, almost like you are shooting on a gimbal. However, just like all the other action cameras in the market that only relies on digital image stabilization, it works the best if your shutter speed is fast, so each individual frame is sharp and detailed. So say if you are shooting at 30 frames per second, you should not follow the typical 180-degree rule. That means you should not be shooting at 1/60 shutter speed. If you do that, the stabilized footage would look really weird as the video would look steady, but each individual frame may have quite a bit of motion blur, so combined together, the video would look really weird. If you look at this nighttime footage and pay attention to the lights in the scene, you will see there's some blur effect every time I shake the camera a little bit too much. To minimize this artifact, you need to shoot at a faster shutter speed. Both the GO3 and the GO3S has the jitter blur reduction feature for this reason, which basically increases the shutter speed. However, it means the camera will be shooting at a higher ISO, so under low light condition, you will sacrifice the image quality quite a bit. Another downside with the faster shutter speed is you may see flickering from some of the artificial light source or screens. So this is a trade-off that you need to consider. This is a limitation that not only affects the GO3 and the GO3S, but pretty much all the action camera and 360 camera and pretty much any camera in the market that only rely on digital image stabilization. Now let's do another comparison with the iPhone 16 Pro and let's compare the image stabilization result. Look at this test footage. When I was walking, the three cameras are quite similar. The iPhone is the worst of the three as it's not quite as smooth as the GO3 and the GO3S, and the iPhone also has the most obvious artifact caused by the digital image stabilization that I just talked about before. And when I start running, the iPhone video footage is also the most shaky. Once again, image artifact caused by digital image stabilization is most noticeable with the iPhone. With the GO3, if you want to capture the normal 16:9 aspect ratio video, if you want to change the orientation from the normal landscape orientation to vertical, you need to go into the menu and change from 16:9 to 9:16. But now, with the GO3S, it is a bit easier because you no longer need to go into the menu. You just switch the camera 90 degrees if you want to switch from landscape to vertical orientation. Insta360 calls it easy switch. It is definitely a lot easier to do this than go into the menu system and change the setting, so it sounds like a great new feature. However, in my opinion, this is more a clever marketing idea to turn a limitation into a so-called feature. And let me explain why. Well, first, we need to understand one fundamental difference between the GO3 and the GO3S. With the GO3, the camera only uses the center circle area of the image sensor. The image sensor is actually a 4:3 aspect ratio sensor, but the GO3 doesn't use the whole sensor no matter what kind of video or photo you are shooting. GO3's camera lens image circle doesn't cover the whole sensor area, so the GO3 virtually has a circle sensor. This virtual circle sensor is very interesting because it means you could create 16:9 video either horizontally or vertically and you get the exact same field of view. And this is basically how the free frame mode works. If you record in free frame mode, it will record a circle video. And you can choose to either create a landscape video or vertical video during editing without changing the field of view of the longer side of the video. I myself very often would shoot in free frame mode when shooting with the GO3, as while most of my video is for the longer YouTube video which is in landscape orientation, sometimes I want to create some Instagram reels or YouTube shorts, so I want to have the flexibility to do that without having to reshoot my content. So that is the Insta360 GO3. And now with the GO3S, it has a brand new lens that covers a larger image circle and the camera can use the whole sensor. This is the reason why the GO3S can capture 4K video while the GO3 can only capture 2.7K even though they use the same sensor. And while using larger sensor area also gives us better image quality as we have just seen before. The downside of these changes is that now the camera no longer uses a virtual circle sensor. It is using a more traditional 4:3 aspect ratio sensor. It means if we allow the user to switch the aspect ratio from 16:9 to vertical 9:16, the field of view would also change as well. It will become narrower. So I'm guessing this is the reason why Insta360 no longer gives you the option to change the aspect ratio from the camera settings, and instead ask the user to rotate the camera, just like what you would usually do when you are shooting with a mirrorless camera and if you want to capture vertical video. Now, while switching the orientation of the GO3S is usually much easier than switching the orientation of a mirrorless camera, but if you are using the easy clip to clip the GO3S onto your head, then you are kind of forced to have it placed in horizontal direction. There's no easy way for you to mount the camera vertically if you're using the easy clip. Okay, so you have a holiday trip and you are going somewhere special. You bring a camera with you as you want to capture and document some special moments during the trip. But quite often, after the trip and you look at the videos that you capture, you notice you actually haven't captured that many videos. Maybe you have only captured a few video clips and that's you got from the whole trip. I'm saying this because this is definitely my experience. Some of my previous holiday trips, there were days that I thought I have recorded a lot of video, but turns out I may only have captured a few videos, and usually those are videos when there are some really special things happen. And I almost never capture any video like when we were traveling on a train, maybe walking to some destination or queuing up for a ride at the theme park. But these are actually also very precious moments. And it may be because I just forgot to record video when I was having fun, or maybe because I was too lazy to just press a button, and sometimes maybe I just feel like we are not doing anything special so I don't need to record anything. But as I said, these are actually also very special, precious moments that I would love to have some video so that later on I can look at those special moments again. And now the GO3S has a great new feature which finally solved this problem for me. It's called interval video. You can think of it as the time-lapse mode for video. With this feature, the camera would automatically capture a short video at your preset interval and duration. So if you mount the camera on your body when you are traveling, the camera will just record lots of short video clips for you automatically. You don't have to do anything at all. By default, the camera would beep when it start and finish each of the recording, so you can be aware of when the camera is recording. But you can disable the audio beeping, and then you have absolutely no idea when the camera is recording. I find it is quite cool, as you have no idea what was recorded during the day, and when you watch the video clips later on, you will be surprised by what are the special moments that was captured by the camera. The only real downside of disabling the audio beeping is, if there is something wrong and the camera didn't do the interval recording as expected, you will not notice that at all until when the day is finished, and then you look at the files and then you realize the camera hasn't captured any video or only captured some video from the day. This has happened to me once when I was in Japan. I still have no idea why that happened. Because of that, I enabled the audio beeping since then, so I will know if the interval shooting suddenly stopped working. And of course, once I enable the audio beeping, everything works perfectly for the rest of my trip. Now, since this feature records short video clips, so the camera's battery can last quite a while, 3 to 4 hours easily with my settings. If I want to record whole day, I just need to put the camera back into the action port to top up once or twice during the day. Talk about my settings. The default settings for the interval shooting record 1 minute of video every 10 minutes. I have tried a few different settings. What I find works the best for me is record 30 seconds of video every 5 minutes. Effectively, it is the same amount of video in terms of total length, but with my settings, I have more video clips, so there wouldn't be a big time gap between two clips. Each clip is shorter, but I find 30 seconds is still long enough, and I can usually get some good footage that I can edit together nicely. And this brings me to the next topic. One other big problem that I have with shooting holiday video is that now I have recorded a bunch of video clips, but if I want to share the videos with my family and friends, I usually don't want to share the raw video clips. I prefer to edit them together and create a highlight video, which not only is more interesting to watch, but it also tells more stories. But editing videos take time, and just going through and rewatch all the video clips can take quite a bit of time already. Then you have to put them together into a timeline, trim the video, add some music. So usually my family holiday videos all remain unedited, and I almost never share them with my family and friends because I just never get around to edit any of them. But this is now much easier with the Insta360, as its app has a AI editing feature. What you need to do is just select a bunch of video clips that you want to use in the app. Then the app will analyze these video clips using AI and then put them together. It will automatically add some transitions, background music. So you just need to wait a few minutes, and then you will have a fully edited video with background music. The AI editing isn't perfect, so I usually would then adjust the video a bit, like we trim or we adjust some of the clips to get the best moment all included in the video. But the AI edited video gives me a very good starting point. During my last trip, there were quite a few times that when I was on the train and heading back to the hotel in the evening, I would start editing the video using the AI editing feature. I select some video clips that were shot using the interval shooting feature earlier that day, and I was able to create a highlight video before I even get off the train. And the result was really not bad. If I have to do it all manually myself, it would probably take me the whole evening with my computer. If you are a beginner or you're not as picky as me, you may even be perfectly happy with the result from the AI editing feature and don't need to do any adjustments at all. There are also a few other new features that come with the GO3S. For example, the GO3S now supports the Apple Find My. So if you are an iPhone user, it can help you track down your GO3S if you drop it or left it behind somewhere. So far, I still haven't lost my GO3S, but maybe one day I will find this feature very useful. There's also the new gesture control. I think it may be useful for some other people, but I myself, to be honest, don't find it really useful. Another changes that I didn't hear many people mention, but I myself found is quite useful, is that the GO3S can now directly save the photo in JPEG format. So you no longer need to use the app to process and output the photo in JPEG format. Every time I bought a new camera or a new camera lens, I would use it a lot at first because it's new and shiny. But quite often, after a while, once the honeymoon period has passed, I would find myself don't actually use that new gear much anymore. So when I bought the Insta360 GO3, I was wondering if it would be like that again. I bought so many gear that I thought would be really useful, but a few months later, my new purchase would end up just sitting in my drawer or the original box and I would never use again. Now, it's getting close to a year since I bought my GO3 and a few months after I received the GO3S, and I still use them regularly. Probably even more than when I first got it, as I found quite a few ways how I can use these cameras. I shot a lot of video that I otherwise wouldn't if I don't have these cameras. I really like the new interval shooting combined with the app's AI editing feature. It makes shooting and editing so much easier. The Insta360 GO3 and GO3S have a lot of limitations, more than average camera in the market. I really wish the battery runtime can be a bit longer. While the daytime video footage looks quite nice, nighttime image quality is not really that good. I also wish the camera can support external microphone. But having said that, even with all these limitations, I still really enjoy using the GO3 and the GO3S. Now, if you are considering between the GO3 and the GO3S, the GO3S is the better camera overall. It has higher resolution output and better image quality with new features like interval shooting and also the improved mounting accessories make the GO3S the camera that I will recommend to most people. However, the cheaper GO3 seems to have longer battery life and the circle sensor capture make it easier for content creators who want to create a lot of vertical videos. So what do you guys think about the GO3 and the GO3S? Do you have one yourself and what are your thoughts? Let me know your thoughts and we can have a chat in the comments section below.